Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast superhero edition. Today, we are doing our tribute episode that we talked about our last superhero update in regards to the Flash series finale that just happened on 5/24, 2023. We're recording on 5/25, 2023. So we're the day after, just like a day after where they put the episodes on the CW app. We're going to be talking Flash, and we're going to be talking about Arrowverse as a whole this entire episode. Some of our favorite moments, things we liked, didn't like. We're going to talk a whole bunch of Arrowverse because coincidentally, with the Flash being its series finale, it was quote unquote the series finale of the whole Arrowverse, which is a decade. So yeah, we got the captain, Mr. Byron Mitchell. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good, doing good. It was fun going down memory lane and figuring out, what my top moments are. And just ready to talk about Arrowverse, man. Let's get it.
Yeah, and even with this entire podcast, there's going to be things that this is going to spawn. Maybe Byron's own creative stuff that we do some creative stuff with the Arrowverse going forward. You've seen like our anime stuff. We've been super creative this whole year. Mitch got creative with some Dragon Ball stuff. Maybe this is going to spawn Byron's own creative thing where he starts thinking about some things and some what ifs, and we just sit down on pods and brainstorm.
That would be smooth. That would be smooth.
But man, let's talk about it. Like I said, Flash, the final run just happened last night. The series finale to the second Arrowverse show, the longest running Arrowverse show of 9 seasons. Byron, and spoilers ahead, there'll be spoilers ahead. What did you like about the series finale?
I really like that they brought all the speed villains back. I thought that was a nice touch just to pay homage to like basically all the main villains he faced throughout the 9 seasons. Was not expecting Jay Garrick to be in the final episode, but it was nice to see him. I wish they would have brought Cisco back, but I saw a tweet a couple of days ago where the actor who plays Cisco said there was just
Carlos.
some scheduling. Yeah, Carlos. So there was some scheduling stuff that he couldn't get out of. So that's why he wasn't able to be in the final season. But that would have been nice to see him. I just thought it was a really nice episode, like the ending where Flash is, shooting lightning up into the sky, and then he's choosing 3 other people to become speedsters. Thought that was a really nice touch and just just a nice little bow to the series.
Yeah, so most of the stuff that you liked, I had down. I had four main things I liked. The first thing I had the final 3 minutes, the happy ending.
Hmm.
From Nora's birth, like from those final minutes, man, when Barry's given that final speech, when Joe is singing that song, which by the way, the actor who plays Joe wrote that song.
Oh wow, I did not know
Yeah,
that.
just saw that. He told Candace, aka Iris, and then he was gonna sing that. So that was really that it's an ending deserving of Grant and
Hmm.
Candace. So that seeing that happy ending, and you like you said, the lightning as him picking the other people, which ties into another one a thing like the Oliver mention
Yep.
in the final thing where he's like, my friend Oliver said that lightning bolt chose me. Basically, now it's my turn to choose people. So,
Yeah, that was nice.
so that was cool. Um, OG Flash being there, done right. There was actually a point in that episode where you could hear the old '90s Flash music. So,
Didn't pick up on that.
and I mean, John Wesley Ships. I mean, he's done it all in terms of Flash. Played or voiced every character, animated, video
Hmm.
game, whatever. Live action, and now to continue. I mean, first he played Barry's dad,
Hmm.
and then from that to Jay Garrick of Another Earth, to then it playing reprising his Earth '90s Flash, to then
Hmm.
being like he's played so much, so he had to be in the series for now. So shout out to that, and a lot of callbacks to season one. Like I said, the Oliver thing, the you got to believe in the impossible. Can you do that? Like
Hmm.
those things, and then like another small thing with like Nora's birth when Barry and Iris held hands and you saw the lightning, like
Oh yeah,
the
that was a nice touch.
yep, and then also at the end of the thing you see the lightning running through Nora's eyes. So that's what I really liked about that series finale. More the happy ending was my favorite part. things I didn't like about the series finale. You named it. I know the Cisco thing, but not even a mention. I felt like that was weird. You could have had a hey, Cisco couldn't come because he was in a world-ending thing at Argus. That's it.
Hmm.
Like that because you brought up Cisco. That was my biggest thing. Like he should have been mentioned at least once by someone. Like, hey, did someone send a picture to Cisco or
Hmm.
something? Because I mean, he's an original Team Flash. So, and then another thing I didn't, I don't want to say didn't like. I guess it's in my didn't like of the finale. Since they were the Arrowverse finale, and like when I saw that lineup of bad guys, I was like, oh, this is kind of rough. I kind of wanted more Flash's like allies there outside of the people in Central City.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
like a Jefferson Pierce, like a Ryan, like a Kara, like all those people, especially since
Hmm.
like he was giving birth and if he's had to be there like helping them and all this stuff. So that's what I put, like no other allies, no other heroes. And it's kind of weird that I wanted that fight to be longer. I wanted that to be the end, near the end. It was in the first like 30 minutes and I was just like,
Yeah. I that kind of goes with one of my points is that I felt like Cobalt Blue was kind of wasted as a
mm-hmm.
series final villain. Like I know they usually do it like a first half villain and the main villain, and that usually works with like 24 episodes, but with this season being only 13 episodes, like the villains kind of felt rushed. Like we had Red Death, like the first 6 or 7 episodes, and then Cobalt Blue. Like we didn't really see him become Cobalt Blue until this last episode, but so I kind of felt like he was wasted as a villain. So I think either they should do Red Death the whole season 9 or Cobalt Blue the whole season 9. Also, it's just me personally. There's no way you can convince me that Allegra can beat Reverse Flash.
Hey, yeah, that's a hard. That was a hard sell. I was like, nah, that ain't. I thought Curtis died.
Same.
I was like, oh, like dude was talking on the comms, and then back reverse flash in the back just says hello. I'm like,
We're
bro.
just sitting there like, bro, you didn't hear him come in?
I was like, oh, it's Jersey for you. Like, I was like, oh, this. I was like, after all these years, I was like, oh man. But that yeah, that ain't no way. Even if she saw her dude dead and she got a freaking anime power up, ain't no way.
Right.
But anything else?
Now that was my two biggest things I didn't like about the series finale.
Allegra somehow beating Reverse Flash, and then villains wasted, and then you mentioned it, the Cisco thing as well.
Yeah. So those are my three.
Okay. Next, man, we're gonna keep continuing talking about the Flash. Grant Gustin, his legacy, man, like he's been playing Flash for over a decade, and I mean, I saw a tweet that really kind of definitively that made me really think about it. Like for people, Grant Gustin's Flash is going to be to some people like Kevin Conroy's Batman. Like now, anytime you read a comic, whose voice are you going to read it in? A Flash comic, you're going to read it in Grant's because he has been
Yeah.
this generation's like Flash continuously. And the weird thing with that, like before I go to the next thing, what are your thoughts on like Grant, man, being the Scarlet Feet Speedster for all this time?
He's been a great Flash for the past a decade. Like he can act his ass off.
Mm-hmm.
Like all his scenes, you could like feel like the emotions. Like when he was angry or like when he was shedding tears, you just like felt that emotion, and that's really hard to convey for 10 years straight. That's how you know that you're locked into a character when you can continuously give the same effort for all 10 seasons, or not 10 seasons, but 10 years. So excellent job, Grant. I hope whatever you do next, definitely will be supporting.
Definitely. Going back to the things I didn't like about, because I just thought about these two things. I talked about the allies and all that. Do you think that proposal was a little misplaced? Because that had been done earlier in the season.
It probably
Like you
should
did
have
it
did
at your daughter's baby
first. Yeah,
party.
they could have been done earlier in the season, like when they decided to move from Central City. He could have proposed that.
So, And then I know he was already on an episode, but they should have tried to make it work. Wally West should have been there.
Yes, I was thinking of that too. Like, where the hell is Wally West? Like, that's your brother. He's not gonna show up for your first daughter's birth.
So that was weird. So now Grant and Ezra, I put this down because this has just been so interesting how these two have been tied and really not a debate, but like just talked about because the Flash show, just we're recording 5/25/2023. The
Mhm.
Flash show started October 7th, 2014. And literally 8 days later, Ezra Miller was cast as the Flash for the Justice League movies. So these two have always been like intertwined. Now Flash
Mhm.
just ended on 5/24. In a couple of weeks, the Flash movie is finally coming out.
Yep, June 16th. From the critics on Twitter, they've been saying like this Flash movie is really, really good. So I'm not trying to get my hopes up. Like I've said in the last episode or a couple episodes, like the trailers have been fire, and
Absolutely.
DC is known for good trailers, but then their movies don't live up to the trailer. So I'm not trying to get my hopes up. But if Ezra Miller, after all the bullshit they did last year or so, can put out a great movie, I mean, more power to Ezra.
I don't know. It's going to be so hard if you've been watching Grant all these years because, like, the fact that they heavily paid respect to OG Flash and John and had him in
Hmm.
multiple roles. If I'm going to see this is the very first Flash movie in theaters.
Hmm.
So, and they've already said like, oh, Grant's not in it, John Wesley's not in it. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, you're putting all these other cameos in, but the Flashes aren't in it.
Yeah. Maybe if it does well, um, we'll get them in like Flash 2. I don't know. It's just
But
still weird to me
but we
that
don't
they're
even know if
doing
Ezra is going to be Flash
Flashpoint.
after this because this
That's
is
also a
basically how
good
they
point.
restart for whatchamacallit, James Gunn's universe. We have no idea. Like this
That's a
is a
very good point.
pivotal. This is a one of the most pivotal movies in DC history.
Yeah. Oh man, it's about to be interesting.
Is there anything Ezra can do in this movie to make you say that he's as good or better than Grant Gustin as the Flash?
Mm. It's gonna be hard because Grant has been doing this for 10 years, and we've only seen Flash, Ezra Miller's Flash, and the first Justice League, which was not Zack Snyder's vision. And then
He
you
had the
see
snippet
him,
in BVS.
yeah, and this, well, that's true, the snippet in BVS, and then yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League, which
Hmm.
you can see Zack Snyder's vision for the Flash in that. But then
Yeah, he's
I
on
don't know, it's
Peacemaker for a cameo.
which was very controversial.
Yeah, and then he had the cameo in like the Suicide Squad. But he's cameoing a lot. It's
Forgot
just
about that. I forgot
yeah,
about the cameo in Suicide Squad.
it's gonna be interesting, man. Because Grant just depend, like you said, 10 years. Like Ezra's going to really. And the thing is, are more people actually going to go watch the Flash, or is this? I it's more important than Doctor Strange's movie, but are more people going to see who the cameos are?
I feel like a lot of like older comic book fans are going for Michael Keaton because he's returning as
Hmm.
Batman.
And Ben
And then like
Affleck.
that's
This
true.
is
And Ben
probably his
Affleck,
last. This is his last role as Batman.
yeah. And then like our generation's probably going to see it for Ezra to see like what he does. And then you have like the comic book nerds to see like how they portray Flashpoint in a actual movie.
Yeah, because we're gonna see all the cameos, man. Because I remember when Doctor Strange came out, and everyone was like, "Man, that rumor of Tom Cruise is gonna be Tony Stark in this movie." Like everyone's getting their
Yeah.
hopes up. The only rumor that was right was Mr. Fantastic.
John Krasinski is Mr. Fantastic.
But we'll see, man. Ezra and Grant are gonna be tied forever just because they started or whatever got the same. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, let's go to down the Arrowverse in general, man. Arrowverse started with Arrow season 1, 10/10/2012, and that's Arrow season 1. Flash, 5/24, 2023, Flash season 9. We're just gonna give their flowers, man. Byron, I'm gonna read some stats off to you. And I just want to
Okay.
get your reaction on this. So and I'm gonna be super, super detailed in this. So I'm gonna give you the basic stats and then just the overall stuff.
Okay.
All right. The basic, the main six shows, the main six of the Arrowverse: Arrow, Flash, Legends, Supergirl, Batwoman, and Black Lightning. The main six.
Mm-hmm.
10 years, six shows, 699 episodes, and 37 seasons.
Wow. Like when you put it like that, that's a lot. 699 episodes,
With the
37
main
seasons
six.
combined. Wow, that's impressive. That's very impressive.
So then if you go, and then if you do the full Arrowverse, full, because you counting John Wesley's Flash, because he's Earth
Mm-hmm.
90's Flash, who came to warn him about Crisis. Constantine's season with Matt Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
You're counting that. You're counting Superman and Lois that's still going. And you're counting the Birds of Prey, because the Birds of Prey were they had one season, 13 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
They were shown in Crisis. You count all of that, that's 810 episodes and counting, because the Superman and Lois is still going.
Wow.
And that's the live action. You go to the web series. Remember, Vixen got 2 animated seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom Fighters, The Ray, got 2 animated. He got 12 episodes, 2 animated seasons. And then they had a whole bunch of different web series. They had Blood Rush, John Connor, things that people haven't even seen before. Chronicles of Cisco, all of that stuff. Then you go to comic book series. The CW had comic book series so that they could flesh out the characters more that people don't even know about. Flash
Mm-hmm.
TV special, Arrow 2.5, Arrow the Dark Archer, Adventures of Supergirl. All these had multiple issues. There's internet blogs from 2015 to 2020. You had the Chronicles of Cisco where he was blogging. You can go see it. The Arrowverse had novels. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 novels. And
Wow.
then they still have
I didn't know
TV
they had that
specials.
many novels.
Yeah, so if you just watch the shows and you want to sometimes wonder, like, maybe check, like, man, how did Oliver have that kryptonite air? There's a whole bunch of novels on the Arrowverse. Like, you were like, oh man, so this was what's happening during this and during this and during this. Like, when you hear that list of all the content that's come out, man, and then not even to keep going, but when Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, that got
Mm-hmm.
tied into the Arrowverse. Batman, Adam West, Earth 66 got tied in.
Mm-hmm.
Batman, Michael Keaton's got tied in. Superman, Smallville got tied in. And the Superman from Brandon Roth's got tied in.
Mm-hmm.
Green Lantern got tied in. Lucifer got tied in. Stargirl got tied in because you see them at the end. Swamp Thing, Titans, Doom Patrol. The DCEU gets tied in because they have their stuff. And Gotham and Krypton just weren't able to be able to tie in, but all that stuff got tied into Crisis. When you hear all of that, man, what are your thoughts on just the Arrowverse?
It's highly, highly impressive. And they did something special with 11 years, 699 episodes for the main shows, all the comics and novels. Like were able to do something special on the CW. And I don't know if like enough people give them credit for what they were able to do, especially with Crisis on Infinite Earths, just to tie all of past and present DC shows, comics, all that into one. What it was like 10 episode, season 8 of Arrow, whatever many
Yeah,
episodes that was.
all of season 8 of Arrow was focused on getting ready for Crisis. All of season, I actually have the thing of Flash that year was getting ready, leading up to the first half of that season for Flash was leading
Yeah,
up to Crisis, and then Crisis happened between the 5 episodes, first three, then a long break, then the last two.
yeah. So what they were able to do with just Crisis on Infinite Earths, I don't think it will ever be topped by anyone.
I don't think anyone's ever going to be able to do this again because you talked about the flowers. One perception, like having TV shows is hard. Like you're
Hmm.
dealing with the commercials, all of that stuff, and those type of dollars. But people got to remember, Flash was the first TV show plus superheroes. I mean, Arrow was the first TV show back on TV, superheroes. We haven't had anything
Hmm.
forever. And Arrow came on, and DC was in a situation where it's like The Dark Knight Rises just ended. Christopher Nolan's
Hmm.
trilogy is like, all right, what's in? Because you can tell, like, the first Arrow is heavily like influenced by the Dark Knight trilogy and stuff like that, and then Man of Steel and stuff. They were getting made, all that stuff, but this was DC's next big thing, and for it to span from Arrow, who, I mean, he's not an A-list superhero that everyone on the street knows. For him
Hmm.
to span to that to 699 or 800 or a thousand, off a billion hours of content is
Hmm.
crazy. And they did that on network television, and it inspired other people to get back in this game. If Arrow is not successful, you don't have Marvel trying to do Inhumans or Agents of
Hmm.
Shield or the the
Marvel
Netflix shows
shows.
of Marvel shows. You don't have Titans, Swamp Thing, like things like that, Doom Patrol. None of those happen until you see this. Like they're like, if Arrow could be this successful on cable TV, we can get back in this game. There's a pocket for the small things, and just put in perspective, man. Like you can pick. Let me just really, I want to really put this in perspective for you guys. The Arrowverse show that had the least seasons right now, Batwoman, they had 3 seasons, right?
Hmm.
That's more than Daredevil. That's as much as Daredevil. And Daredevil was the most popular show of the Netflix shows.
It was.
Luke
It
Cage
was.
only got 2. Iron
Yeah.
Fist got 2.
And Jessica Jones got two, I think.
I think she got 3.
Or yeah, yeah, okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
she got 3. Punisher only got 2.
Hmm.
Like, and this is the lowest one of the Arrowverse, and if they went there, it has just as many as the highest of Marvel on the Netflix thing before their whole situation because they couldn't last forever on Netflix.
Yeah.
So,
Imagine, like I said, just impressive what they were able to do for the last 11 years.
and like it's all ending at the same. Like Titans just finished; they only got to 4 seasons.
Hmm.
Like and Doom Patrol and like all that stuff. So all the DC TV shows are all like ending, and we'll see what happens next. But the Arrowverse stuff, man, it just you're right. They don't get enough flowers, and they deserve every flowers. You know, Oliver, Stephen Amell was talking about how he doesn't get enough credit from the movie people, but you really should. I know it's hard with like commercials and stuff because people have just gotten used to the streaming stuff. But
Hmm.
hey, man, you can buy it on digital, you can watch it on Netflix. See that like once you're watching it like straight, you're just like, oh, like there's some top comic book moments in that stuff, man. It's the greatest TV universe ever. And there's times where on what they were able to accomplish with their budget, I'm not saying it's better than the MCU, but I'm saying if you compare what they did with their budget, with all the stuff MCU does with their budget, the amount of content the Arrowverse has is more than the MCU.
Oh, for sure.
Like you can make a case like tit for tat if you just took everything away. It's like this universe did this. Like this is universe A, universe B. A lot of people pick the Arrowverse and not even know. But you know that
Yep.
stigma of like the CW, like the Arrowverse has a claim to be maybe the best superhero universe ever.
No, I definitely agree. Like, I love Marvel and what the
Mm-hmm.
MCU has done, but Arrowverse, like, where it just we're able to do something special with just a TV budget. Like MCU got all the movie budget, but the Arrowverse really got that TV budget, and we're able to do some special things.
And the TV stuff, there were some hits on the DC, but the TV universe was better than is better than the DCEU.
Yeah,
And the DCEU has
yeah.
access to everyone. Arrowverse had that's the other thing. They had restrictions. Like if you would have told Marvel, "Oh, you can make this stuff, but you're not allowed to have Captain America in anything,"
I don't think they would have been able to survive.
or you're not allowed to have Thor, or you're not allowed to have like,
Iron Man.
yeah. Well, Arrowverse had all these restrictions and all that, and they still thrived and made a way. 10+ years on TV is something never because like the Infinity Saga was 10 years, and now me and you have talked about repeatedly on podcasts. People are getting pissed at Phase 4 and 5, calling it like it's not the same.
Yeah, which I don't agree with, but everyone has their own opinion. But
I will say it is hard.
I'll beg them to watch the Arrowverse and see if that's the same
It is
reaction.
hard when you get invested in the characters and then your ones are done and it's the time to go. Like if you've been so invested in like the original 6 Avengers, they go just like an Arrow, man. Like when you get so invested in some of these characters and then you know their series is coming to end, you're just like, this is rough. The only thing I'm gonna be is rewatching YouTube, which I've been doing heavily to get ready for this episode.
Oh, same.
So, Byron, man, what were some of your top? And I know this was on the spot because of this episode, but what were some of your top 5 moments of the episode? And I don't know how you did your moments of most important to the Arrowverse, your favorites. Like, what are some of your top 5?
So most of these are like for the shock factor and like what has just like been imprinted on me for the like last 11 years. These are in no particular order, but I only have 4 because I can think of a 5th one. So one is when Lex Luthor was revealed as a villain on Supergirl. Ooh. And just how
didn't think we'd ever get him. That's a good one.
We didn't think we'd ever get him. And then when he revealed, like you see the whole season, like he's been planning all of that up to his reveal was just beautifully done. And then John Cryer just
was an absolute monster.
Absolute monster. One of the best Arrowverse villains up there with Reverse Flash. So
he better than Michael? He better than Michael from Smallville's Lex? Smallville's Lex got 10 years to be Lex, though.
He did. I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like John Cryer, maybe this is recency bias, but I feel like this John Cryer's was just...
Oh, he was a devil.
Was so ruthless. Like, when he became one of the, what do you call them?
Paragons.
Paragons. Like, no, it's not like I thought
Snake shit.
Superman was going to be one of the Paragons, and he said, nope, I rewrote the book, so I can be one of the Paragons. Just snake shit, like you said.
I like that.
So Lex Luthor was one of my ones. The ending of Elseworlds, where they announced that Crisis on Infinite Earths was happening. That was a big moment because we didn't think Crisis on Infinite Earths was going to be shown on
I remember the text messages and Twitter just going nuts.
So just that screen that said Crisis of Infinite Earths is coming up, like, holy shit, they're actually doing it.
And that was the first time in Arrowverse history where they announced the next crossover a year in advance.
So you had a year to prepare.
And to let you know where everyone was at. And then they also, with everyone's season ending, had something going into Crisis. Like Arrow season 7 ended that time where Marvu comes to Oliver's cabin, says, you got to come with me now. Flash's one ends with the time because the time newspaper jumped up. It was supposed to happen 2024, jumped to 2019. Supergirl's one ended with Martian Manhunter being tested by the Monitor. Legends one ended with him there watching them at the circus, just shaking his head like this.
A bag of popcorn.
Yeah. So like you see those tidbits, you're like, oh, this is real. Which I guess slash tie into Monitor. I guess you can tie in the Monitor being a part of that because you're like, if the Monitor's here, that you know what's about to. That's a good one, man. Those are 2 really good ones.
Thank you. And then this one is from the Flashpoint and how it changed things for a couple of different TV shows, like changed Diggle having a son instead of a daughter. and
Wild.
then
Yep.
Superman having two sons instead of one. So that was crazy how just from the Flash it changed things for
Cisco's
other.
brother died too, didn't he?
Yes, I couldn't remember if Cisco's brother died because now I remember like the season after Flash or the episode or season after
Well,
Flashpoint.
well, well,
He
Flashpoint was in season 2. Yeah,
right.
because Superman, he didn't have the twins until Oliver restarted the universe. Because Superman wasn't introduced. So
Okay, that makes sense.
Superman's one goes to the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Okay, so then just the Diggle having a son instead of a daughter then. Because I
Yep.
remember when Flash broke that news to him.
Yeah.
He was like, "What?"
Oh yeah, they were hot. And like Cisco's brother, like, yeah, because Cisco's hot. And I'm like, and they're like, you did all this stuff without telling. Yeah, so that's good, man. And they did Flash. Hey, they did Flashpoint season 2. Flash is doing Flashpoint first movie. So
Right.
hopping on quick. What's and you said you had one more?
Yeah, the one more, I don't know why, but this moment just sticks with me is when in Black Lightning, when Khalil found out that he killed his mom. That was so
Tough.
emotional. I felt pain for bro. I was like, dang. You have
Whoever had
to.
that music in the background playing, that was tough.
Oh, yeah, that is on my Spotify. I listen to that a lot.
Ooh, what's that song called?
It's called Alone. I can't think of the artist's
Because that
name
was tough.
right now. Let me see if I can look it
Because
up.
TC had him going through that stuff. Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ooh, that's a demon
Oh
too. I
no.
forget that. What was it? What was his name? That
Oh, what's his name?
he was a demon. But while we're doing that, so those were your four.
Those are my four.
Okay. Okay. So I did my top 5 moments of the Arrowverse as to me. Did I have 5? Yeah, and I had like one tied for 5th. So I had them as the most important moments, in my
Okay.
opinion. Trying to, I wrote them down in no particular order, but I can, I think I could put these in order. Well, number one, well, no, it's not number one. The first one I'll say, and this was a tie, the Arrow pilot episode.
Okay.
I mean, none of this starts. I mean, the first you have failed the city. No one can know my secret. None of this happens if that pilot is ass.
That's true. That
And
is a
then
very good point.
and then the thing I tied with that was Arrow 100. That was the very first Arrowverse show to get to 100 episodes.
Okay. Okay. I like
So
that.
that one, um, Arrow season 2, Barry meets Oliver because
Important.
then comic book fans like, hey, this is Barry Allen. Everyone's like, holy shit, this is gonna be the Flash. Is the Flash gonna be part of the Team Arrows? He's gonna get his own show. And him meeting Oliver, that starts the true Arrowverse. I think season 2 was one of the most, it may be the most important Arrowverse season of all of them, because you have Barry Allen, Sarah Lance, 2 leaders, 2 paragons you find in the future who branch off to their own shows and get so many other heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the reason I say that too, because my next one, Flash crossing over to Supergirl for the first time, because
Yep.
people,
Important.
for people who don't know, Supergirl first started on CBS. So they were
Yep.
on CBS, Flash was on CW. And for them to let Flash cross over from the CW to the CBS, that was big because, like I said, Oliver meets Barry. Barry gets these powers, goes to Oliver. Now Barry gets Supergirl. You bring that
Mm-hmm.
universe in, like that's just crazy. The fourth one, the first big crossover, Invasion, because
Oh,
this was
yep.
the very first big crossover between Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Flash, Supergirl. It's everyone besides Barry's first time meeting Supergirl. And you see what these crossovers are like. You see, it's like, oh, we were able to do this over 4 episodes. Arrow 100 got thrown in there as well because
Mm-hmm.
it just landed on that. So they were trying to make it sense with the crossover and pay homage to Arrow 100. So that first big crossover, they showed that they can do it. And then my fifth one, which was the biggest shocking moment in Arrowverse history, Crisis on Infinite Earths, the 4th episode, Barry meets Barry. When
Yep.
Grant Gustin and Ezra Miller face to face, no one saw that coming. That was not leaked. You never thought
Mm-mm.
anyone from the movies would cross. And once you had those two meet, you had the acknowledgement of the movies. And like, that was the most shocking moment in Arrowverse history. And then you realize that C.W. Barry is the one who gave Ezra Barry the name The Flash because he wasn't even
Yep.
calling himself The Flash. Now, like, that's the most shocking moment to me, and like just showing stuff. So I think those were my top 5 moments of the Arrowverse.
There's some good moments, especially the Flash meeting the Flash, because that literally broke the
Yeah,
internet.
yeah.
And I think that's what really put like the Arrowverse on the map. And
Mm-hmm.
like, oh shit, this big movie star is showing up on this show that's shown on CW Wednesday nights.
Yep. It was one of the wildest things because you never thought there'd be a crossover of any sort with the movies.
Mm-mm.
And just
Not at
seeing
all.
that face to face, like you hear that hello, and then you see Ezra Miller's. I remember spitting out my water, and I was like, this cannot be happening.
Yeah, I probably said, what the fuck?
And then Twitter's just going nuts. Like it,
Yeah.
and Ezra always said he always wanted to show him the Flash, and to do it in their biggest crossover ever. Like those 5 moments, I think were the most important ones. Okay? What are your top 5 fight scenes from the Arrowverse? Let's just get this out of the way. Me and you both have the church scene number 1. I don't know if the rest of your things in any order, but me and you both have it number 1. It's the best scene. I was gonna say unmorphed like the Power Rangers, unsuited up, fighting like how they're working together, all that stuff. That's the best fight scene in the Arrowverse. Let's
Yeah, that
just
was
get
my
that out.
number one.
Yeah,
But
let's just
like the rest of these are not in any order, but that is
yeah,
will always
same,
be my number one.
same.
Um, so my next one I had Painkiller versus the Guards in Black Lightning season 4, episode 7.
Mm,
Just first off, like the bipolar, like not bipolar, but like the two sides of you have Khalil who fights differently than how Painkiller fights. So like you
like
have Khalil
the
starting
like the
Jekyll and Hyde.
Yugi and a Tem.
Yeah, Yugi. Yep, Yugi and Tim. That's a perfect example. You have Khalil starting off the fight, and he says, "No, I'm tired of this." And then Painkiller takes over, and it's just this savage when he fights. So it just that one sticks with me always. And then Deathstroke versus the Guards, Arrow season 6, episode 5, when he shows up and says, "Who's in charge here?" And then just starts whooping ass. Just that wasn't even a fight. It was more like a murder because no one got any shots in. It was just
Mm-hmm.
Deathstroke killing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the fourth one, because I couldn't think of a fifth one, I had Sarah and Amaya versus the Samurai and Legends of Tomorrow season 2,
Man,
episode
I had that as
3.
a funny thing. I had that as an honorable mention. I have it right up on my YouTube right now. I'm looking at it right now because I'm like, gosh damn it, I forgot about it before recording, and that's a topper.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. You had the church scene, you had Painkiller, you had Deathstroke, you had Sarahverse and Sarah
Sarah
and
and
Maya
Amaya
verse.
versus the
I think you got one
Samurai.
more.
I think I just actually thought of this one. So that I think it was season 8 of Arrow, that elevator scene.
Okay.
Yeah, that one sticks with me a lot too.
Okay. Um, so I literally after church scene, I had Deathstroke season 6, enough said. So
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 more now. So these are the ones I wrote down. So I had season 2, Oliver versus Slade finale, going back and forth between the present and the past on how that fight was going.
Okay, that's a good one.
So that's kind of like, I'm trying to think if it was out. I don't even think that fight was out animated back then. That's how crazy the Arrowverse was. Kind of like for the people listening to the anime stuff, the Kakashi Obito fight, how it was going from present to
Mm-hmm.
past. That's exactly how that was, which was dope. Third, my next 2 are like, you're like, oh really? But these ones, just because of Invasion, Oliver and Barry versus the League. When everyone else is
Okay.
mind controlled and it's just Oliver
Okay.
and Barry, and they have to take out everyone. So you
Mm-hmm.
got Barry fighting all the metas, you got Oliver fighting the non metas, you have the sweet scene with Supergirl and Barry, and like Supergirl tries to hit Barry with a laser thing, and he literally does a 360 pivot, runs back down and dodges that. And then you have the scene where the music starts playing too, and Sarah gets hurt, and it's about to be Oliver versus Sarah, and you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
who's gonna actually gonna win this? And like, and that's when after the mind control gets stopped. So I was like, that's something because you have the 2 founders really going
Yeah.
against people they brought in.
Yep, that's a good fight scene. I forgot about that one.
So I had this one tied for fifth
Okay.
because this crossover is just it's like we talked. It's more of a stepping stone to Crisis. This one tied for fifth. Elseworld, Superman, Supergirl, Flash, and Green Arrow versus Amazo.
That I just yep. I was thinking about that one today. Only for the fact that um Barry gets to say, Amazo, you have failed this city.
And they busted out that portal going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They started
Mm-hmm.
blasting like Amazo and like all that. So that was dope. And then the other tied one, there's so many more. But Arrow season one, the original hallway fight scene. Before Daredevil and all that, he started the hallway fight scene.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
I almost put from season one, the finale of Green Arrow versus the Dark
I had that
Archer.
one too with Diggle. There's
Yep.
there's a lot, man. I was really tempted. I was about another honorable mention, man. I was gonna almost put all of season Arrowverse Prometheus.
I was like, is that a cop out? If I put Arrow versus Prometheus all of season six?
I was watching it five. I was
Season
watching
five, yeah,
it and
yeah.
it was the first one when he thought it was Justin Clay. He was like Justin Clay, and I say this all the time because it's one of my favorite Prometheus lines. He's like Justin Clay, where you fail to see, and he hits him with the not as badly as you have, Mr. Queen. I'm like, yo, and then he shoots the arrow. Prometheus cuts it right down the middle with the star. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, we are going. And then
Man.
they continue throwing hands the whole series, all that, even the finale and stuff where you got his little group Italian, all that, and his group, and he got
Mm-hmm.
Deathstroke back, and I'm like, the season five really went back to those things, and there were some dope scenes, there were some dope fight scenes in the prison when he was whooping everyone's ass, like
Mm-hmm.
he was just
The
beating
one with
everyone's.
Cody, the one I sent you and Patrick, Cody Rhodes versus him,
Mm-hmm.
where Cody Rhodes was just beating his ass.
Yeah, and then dude got him back, and like he broke dude's hand, there's a lot of dope fights, especially in Arrow. When you think, I even thought about like I almost want to say recency. I almost put the season when he came back in season nine because you remember like when you're watching that fight, you're like, man, we used to get this every Wednesday
Mm-hmm.
for
I hate
nine for
that.
8 years.
Yeah, that was good.
So
That fight was amazing.
like all that stuff, like the Deathstroke stuff. I mean, I thought about also like the finale of season two, like the other people are fighting. The Raw stuff that was just like that was okay. Diaz, that boy, they were throwing hands. He really started whooping Diaz's ass, and Diaz started playing some tricks. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of dope stuff. I even thought of the stuff with Katana when she came in season eight because she was putting in work.
Mm-hmm.
Man, a lot of dope stuff, man. There's a lot of good fights. What that might be a whole podcast like naming another five that we didn't name.
Ooh, yeah. Just so many good fights. It's just hard to come up with a group of like these are best fights.
Ooh,
Like,
and you know it's funny too. There's another one I wanted to put on elsewhere, but the finish was weak, but it was going when Oliver
oh,
and Barry got hit with the fear gas, and they were seeing the other person's arch
yep,
enemy. Like
yep,
he's fighting reverse class, he's fighting air, and like Malcolm, like that was going.
that was going, and then
The
Batwoman
finish was
had to
bad. The finish was bad, but that
pick
was
them
going.
both, and that was it.
Yeah, that was bad. Terrible finish. What do you think the crowning moment of the Arrowverse was in your opinion?
I put Crisis on Infinite Earths. Like nothing on TV will ever come close to what they achieved with that.
I, I don't disagree with you. I just went I went Crisis on Earth X. Only
Okay.
reason it's not as big as Crisis on Infinite Earth. Nothing like mixing all the stuff. But Crisis on Earth X is as close to a crossover as a perfect crossover I've ever seen.
Facts.
Story
All
makes
four. Yeah.
sense. How do you get all these people together? Oh, one of their own's wedding. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The fight scenes, that's the thing that crossover has over Infinite Earths. The fight scenes are 100 times better.
Yeah.
Like nothing
Like.
with church scene, obviously. I mean, we both had a number one. The final
Mm-hmm.
fight scenes, the scenes where they pull up on the Nazi base or when
Yep.
Oliver's alone and like he has like the Nazi, like the not Nazi, but their version's Felicity on that thing, and he's just beating everyone up there. Like
Mm-hmm.
when Dark Oliver pulled up the Star Labs and beat the hell out of all of Team Arrow by himself. Then you're sitting here like, dang, y'all really are trash. Like he pulled up alone.
I might have to watch that Crisis after this.
I just felt like it was the perfect crossover. And it was bad because too, that's when Justice League came out. Justice League was so terrible. And it's like, this crossover on TV was better than Justice League.
It really was.
The Whedon
It
version.
really was.
You can make a debate about the Snyder, but this was the best crossover live action DC has ever made.
Mm-hmm. I will not disagree with you there.
From story, obviously not significant. That's Crisis on Infinite Earth. Nothing will beat that. But story, fights, the ending where you have the two founders getting married on the same day. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have Diggle, who's OG doing the basically being the whatchamacallit, the
The
officiate.
priest. Yep.
Yeah, and you hear a whole bunch of crazy stuff, man. You get a comic book moments, Kryptonite Arrow, everything. Like I felt like when they did that, people were like, holy shit, like they can do this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it made you, I mean, prime Arrowverse watching is when you're like, all right, when's the once a year crossover?
Yeah.
That's when you start getting into it. You're like, when's the once a year crossover?
Because they all hit. Like they didn't have one bad crossover.
No, it's just when you start comparing them like Earth X, you're just like, and they had death in Earth X. Martin Stein died.
Yep.
So then they had a first for revenge. Like they had a real death and he didn't come back.
No, he did not. He stayed dead.
Like you had real like loss in that. So it's just like, and then you have to go tell Martin Stein's family that he's gone. Like, man. Whew.
Yep.
Whew. Man, it was tough. It was tough. When did you begin to feel the Arrowverse was heading towards the end? I know you have a lot on this one. I only have one answer.
So I feel like it started to die when they started canceling like the pilots for Green Lantern and the Canaries, and then they canceled the pilot for the
Green
Pain.
Arrow, and the Canaries.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to put Green Lantern. Thank you, Green Arrow and the Canaries.
Well, he should have been there too. That's all.
True. And then they canceled the pilot for the Painkiller show, and then so that's when it like started to die. But then like the final nail in the coffin is like, man, the Arrowverse is really over. Is when they didn't allow Legends and Batwoman to get series finales.
Okay. So I only had one answer because this moment was super shocking, and when this happened, I was like, "Oh, we might be getting towards the end because this has never happened in the Arrowverse before." 2 words: Ruby Rose. She had Batwoman season 1. Then out of the blue, you get the alert: Ruby Rose isn't going to be Batwoman anymore, and you're like, "What?"
That fair enough because they were setting it up for a Batwoman and Supergirl crossover because they were buddy buddy. And was the
Elseworld
Crisis on
and
Elseworld? Yep,
mm-hmm.
buddy buddy in Elseworlds, and then she said, "No, I'm done.
Out of the
No
blue,
hard feelings."
and it would have been different maybe if it was like a smaller character, but this is the main character of your show.
Yep.
So you setting that back, you changed everything because obviously they're going to continue the show. So they're like, and they didn't recast KK and Wander Away, which I guess they should have. But I'm fine with Ryan, but it messed everything up because Ryan can't go team up. She can't do any crossover. She doesn't know any of these people.
True. Even though I did like that she was in the Armageddon crossover.
And she was in in the Red Death stuff. But that's too little too late. That's the end.
Yeah. Yeah, after her show got canceled. Yeah.
Yeah. So when Ruby did that, I'm sitting here like, oh, this is not good. Because this is going to ruin plans. Because that was supposed to be the next crossover after Crisis. Yep. So then and then they cancel that. And you have all that hype. The next year, there was no crossover.
No.
So that's when her situation happened, I'm like, what do we do? And then you see the back and forth. And That's when I was like, oh, this might be ending. I've never
Yeah,
seen a main character ever just drop out. Like, oh, Tony Stark after Iron Man 1. Robert Downey, yeah, I don't want to be Iron Man anymore. What?
that's fair. That's like I said, that's a fair point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that was the first. That was actually one of the first things I wrote, man, because I'll just never forget the day. It made no sense, and now you have to start. You're in season 2, having to reintroduce a new Batwoman. Okay, how do you do this, Batwoman? And again, I'm fine with Ryan. I actually like Ryan, but
Yeah.
it would have made more sense, streamlined show, if Alfred's daughter became Batwoman.
Hmm.
But they went the Ryan route again. Fine, Ryan. It's just it pushed everything back, and then it's like it's too little, too late. And then like stuff about like Batwoman was supposed to do a crossover with Superman too. You can't do that because you don't know her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Ruby Rose thing was this thing for me. What were 5 things you wish you saw during the Arrowverse run?
5 things I wish I saw. One, that Legends and Batwoman. I got at least a season to finish their stories because they both ended on cliffhangers. Like Legends, they're getting arrested for like crimes they've committed.
Guys, Byron
And
keeps bringing this up because he's getting you ready for the next question after this one. He's getting you ready.
yeah. And then Batwoman, she ended on cliffhanger too. I think it was like some big zombie
Mm-hmm.
guy in a camera shot. They're like, okay, who's that guy? What they're gonna do with next season? And then came out that, oh no, they're being canceled after this season. No hope. So I think that's like my main thing that I wish would have happened. And then I think I wish Black Lightning wish it had for another season, because he passed the torch on to his kids. So I wish they would have gotten at least one season with them facing off their like against their own villains. I would have loved to see Deagle as the Green Lantern. Those are my 3. I couldn't think of any 4 or 5.
Okay. I just wanted to also sidetrack, just to go back to the very beginning point of like the main, when we talked about the main 6 Arrowverse shows,
Hmm.
4 of them got to over 100 episodes.
Hmm.
Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow each got in 100th episode. If 4 of your 6 in your main thing each get to 100, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Arrow was 170, Flash is 184, Supergirl 126, Legends right at 110.
Hmm.
So just want to throw that back out there. So I had 5. I had my 5 things. Some of these all tie together. More small team ups. Post
Yes.
crisis, just random team ups. I'm like, all right, everyone's on one Earth, just randomly pop in. That'd be cool. So that goes to another one. I know this was going to be planned, but it just didn't work because Stargirl brought up an interaction with like the Titans and Stargirl. Like I know
Hmm.
Titans were their own universe, Stargirl was their own, but once they found out the multiverse was alive again, like going to maybe mentor Stargirl and her crew because like that Flash, Jay Garrett was already there. Titans, that would have been dope because they had their thing on Crisis on Infinite Earths, doing a little meet up with them. That would have been cool. I
Hmm.
know Titans finale where Beast Boy, he was like in the multiverse looking. You had a Grant Gustin run in, you had a Stargirl, but like having an interaction with them would have
Hmm.
been cool. Another one, these two are Justice League focused, but for different things.
Okay.
One, I wish there was a special on the Justice League. So the league that was made at the end of
Hmm.
Crisis on Infinite Earths, like a 5 run thing or an episodes of those main people doing stuff together.
Yeah.
And then the other one, because I just wish we had a Justice League series. Like
Yep.
that's where I would have went.
Yeah.
And then the other Justice League thing was having the future league interact. And what I mean by that is 10 plus years, you never had Amia and Nora interact with each other. That makes no sense.
Ooh. Yeah, especially with Oliver and Barry being as close as they
Hmm.
were.
I mean,
Yeah.
and Felicity's still alive, like now, like in theory, Mia is older. She's older than Nora.
Hmm.
So like if the league's continuing, why wouldn't you have had an interaction with them? And then you take it a step further, like they're there, and then like if you do the reincarnations of the people of who started their little league thing, John, Jonathan, and his brother are there somehow. You maybe you
Hmm.
have Richard Jefferson, Jefferson Pierce's daughters as the mentors because they're adults right now. I know
Yeah.
one's like in high school, but like they're adults, like mentoring that stuff. And you got Barry's kids, you got Mia, then you got Diggle's kids, Wild Dog's kids, basically a young Justice.
That
Future.
would have been that
If
would
you
have
weren't
been
going to
dope.
give us the other stuff, if you would have gave us a young Justice to see how these people try and live up to their parents' legacies, that would have been dope.
Oh, they could have did so much with that now.
Again,
Oh.
this goes to some stuff like it's over, but they're there. That's what I'm talking about. What if there's a lot to be left desired too of what could have things that could happen. And then my number one, because this was the shadow for 10 years. The real Batman.
Yep.
Like the dude was so gone. Oliver, with all the stuff he saw in his life, thought this dude was a myth.
Hmm.
And
He's
obviously,
real.
yeah, I don't want. I mean, that's another. You never thought they'd be going to Gotham City. That's another.
Hmm.
And you hear the stories about him, like everyone's just like, this dude was literally that man, and then he just disappeared. You never know why he disappeared. Still to this day,
Mm-mm.
you don't know where he is. You had the fake one who pretended to be Bruce Wayne, but that wasn't real Bruce Wayne. But that was the person who I was like, oh, he kind of looked at me nice, but that's the
Hmm.
big thing, man. And that's what I was talking about. Like, they weren't allowed to have Batman, all that jazz, yada yada. But I want to know where he's at. Like, if you would have had a thing where he could have showed up as Bruce Wayne helping and like stuff like that, like he was just
Hmm.
a shadow caster because they're like, where's Batman? You have all these Batman references. Oh, I would have named you Oracle, but Oracle was taken. Or when
Hmm.
Oliver's like, they could have put anyone's face on. They could have put Bruce Wayne's face. Is Bruce Wayne left Gotham? Batman, this like that was the biggest shadow of the Arrowverse. Because I mean, they were able to get Superman, which was so freaking crazy, and
Hmm.
Tyler Hodges is freaking amazing. They really weren't able to get Wonder Woman, but the real Batman, man, that's the one. That is the shadow.
Yeah, and then I feel like in season 4 of Batwoman, they probably would have shown him because
Yeah,
Kate, the actress who
mm-hmm.
replaced Kate, at the end of the set, oh, I'm gonna go find Bruce Wayne because he's been missing. So we probably might have got him in season 4 if they hadn't been canceled.
It's just great. And like it just makes like with the Batwoman stuff, like with the real Batman and all stuff, where's the rest of the Bat family?
Yes, so they did go to Bloodhaven in one episode
Like
and
you have
never showed Nightwing.
Lucius is dead, but you have Luke. You're just like, so where are the Robins? Like no one just like asked, like, did they all retire? Did they all go somewhere?
Hmm.
It's just crazy. What what are you still pissed hot about the Arrowverse?
The CW canceling shows. So we had the Green Arrow and the Canaries being
Ooh,
canceled
that was the one you were hot about. Ooh.
because the way they set it up was
Hmm.
so perfect. Like you
Hmm.
had the mind erasing technology, and then 10 years in the future, someone's unlocked people's memories, but we don't know who it was. And then Mia and then both Canaries we're going to team up and figure out why people are unlocking people's memories after 10 years of peace or however long it was.
Hmm.
And I was that middle of the episode in the middle of season 8 just got me
It
so
was
hyped.
actually the second to last episode.
Yep, second to last episode. Got me so hyped. I was like, yes, we're gonna get Green Arrow and the Canaries, and then CW said no. I'm just joking. And then same with Painkiller. We got episode like a pilot episode in season 4 of Black Lightning. I was so excited about that. But nope, that's being canceled. And then Just As You got being announced with Diggle teaching basically the next group of young superheroes that got canceled. Because, and then Batwoman, League Legends got canceled because they didn't want to rent the space out anymore. But, CW, they're still a superhero show
Not anymore.
network. Well, that's what they claim to be. They got Gotham Knights.
Okay. Anyway.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And then, of course, they still have Superman and Lois, but are they getting to season 4? We don't know.
No, I don't disagree with anyone you've said, man. Like, you have someone in the future selling pre-crisis memories. How do you not have a story with that?
Hmm.
Painkiller, man, that would have been crazy. Here's some fun stuff. You brought up Justice You. John Cryer, aka Lex, he tried to pitch to Warner Brothers the Legion of Doom series.
That would have been dope.
They passed on that. Looks like they passed on Wonder Girl. I knew you were gonna take that, so I just wrote. I wrote spinoffs and cancellations, and all there's so much potential left, man. Like Green Lantern with Diggle, like that. Like his name was John. Was he gonna be like, oh, my name is John Stewart Diggle? Like it's like there's still so much potential left. There's still so many stories left that, of course, when things end, you're just like, oh, things come to end. It's a great run, but it's like the fact that there's still so many stories left.
Yeah,
You're just
they
like,
just
what the
left
heck, man?
so many things wide open that they could have done,
Man,
but
I
they
agree.
chose not to.
Those are the things that piss me off the most about because there's still so much potential and all that. How would you have ended the Arrowverse if you had the ability to? What would your ending have been with the Flash episode since this coincidentally ended it?
I would have had, like you alluded to earlier, I would have had more cameos from heroes in the past 11 years. Like, where was White Canary? Because her and Grant became close after Oliver died. I would have had her show up. Maybe John Diggle. I mean, I know he was in an earlier episode, but I'm sure he would have come back for the birth of Nora because he was at the baby shower, basically. Like, yeah, I just would have had more cameos just to really tie everything together.
Yeah. I think the only because I know they wanted to end with Barry running, I would have just ended with him going to a meeting with the rest of the Justice League.
That would have been, yeah.
So I know that would have ruined the him running with the smile and like, or maybe I would have shown the post credit scene, but then you would have been teasing more people. Like showed up to the Hall of Justice, they're all sitting there, all that stuff, and then you hear the next event, like even though there's no event, but that's how I would have ended. Just a picture of all the main people's shows. So White Canary, Supergirl, Superman, Martian Manhunter, Black Lightning, Batwoman, and Flash, the Paragons, or who the people you pick for the founding stuff. And then you also have like the silhouette of Oliver in the background because he started this all. That's how I would have ended if this was the last episode of the Arrowverse. I would have had the people who had their shows so they could have some type of closure who didn't.
Yep, that would have been nice.
Because that goes to the thing. I know the only one that truly, truly pisses me off that didn't get a proper ending is Legends. Because Sarah has been in this one of the longest running people in the Arrowverse, and she deserved to have a proper closing.
Yeah, she was in season 1 of Arrow.
Yeah, and became the Canary in season 2. Like, she deserved a proper closing and didn't get it. And that still hurts to this day.
Same. It just the way they mishandled that is they fumbled that so hard.
And it sucks
So
it sucks when these things are over because then they're telling you like, oh, like when they were at GalaxyCon last year, they're like, oh yeah, season 8, we're gonna have Booster Gold, things of that nature. Like Stargirl talking about we wanted to team up with Titans, this. Just today, Eric Wallace, the producer of Flash this season, is like, oh no, if we would have got to season 10, We would have done Blackest Night. We're trying to stop Black Lanterns. We would have people from Superman and Lois Titan Stargirls in there. And you're just like,
Thanks, CW.
you're just sitting here like, man, it's crazy. Are there any hopes for the Arrowverse for the future from you? Like, do you have any hopes?
That Legends and Batwoman get to finish their stories. I know it's probably never going to happen, but I'm still holding on hope. Maybe Green Arrow and the Canaries, Painkiller, just as you. Maybe they'll remember that there's supposed to be a superhero network with only two superhero shows that
Well,
may
it's only going
or
to be
may
one.
not.
It's going to be 1 or 0 next year.
Yeah, I know.
Since they said like Superman and Lois is our greatest produced show, but it costs too much money. So since it brings the most people and costs too much money, we might cancel it because
Which
Gotham
is
Knights is the cheapest show we've ever made. And
because no one watches it. I watch one episode of Gotham Knights, the pilot episode. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
so
Oh, it's just terribly acted. And then, if Superman and Lois gets to continue, I hope Supergirl gets to show up on at least one episode, since they are cousins.
yeah, that's the one too. How because I know Melissa. I mean, she got pregnant and all of that. So how and all these times filming is like she should have been on the Flash in some way. She's a Trinity member.
Mm-hmm.
Like Oliver was able to be on. I know with like Armageddon they had freaking Alex, and you hit him with the signature. Oh, Kara and John are off world. Like the signature
Mm-hmm.
lines for anything when you don't want to explain where someone's at. But you should be on. So like hopes. I mean, I wrote down James Gunn's name. The only reason I wrote that down is I would hope, even if it's 1 or 2, of some of these characters getting entwined into the new DCU for the way
Mm-hmm.
that when Daredevil ended, we thought that was it because the MCU did not acknowledge any of those Netflix
Netflix
shows.
shows. Yeah.
And Netflix shows weren't even talking about them. They were calling the incident very much
Mm-hmm.
when the Shatari came. Like, so they were almost under the same things. Like MC's like, hey, don't talk about us. Ain't a part of y'all. Y'all ain't a part of us. So y'all on your own shit. So like, and here in 2022, last year, seeing Netflix is and the same actor Charlie Cox is Daredevil or William Dafoe's Kingpin
Mm-hmm.
being a part and shifting in the MCU. I would love for something like that to happen with some of these characters. I know some of these cons, like the people sometimes like, hey, James Gunn, call me, like all that stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I would love for that to happen. My two biggest dreams would be an Arrowverse movie
Okay.
before Crisis, because then I would want Green Arrow in it. That's why you
Yeah.
can't be post Crisis because he's dead unless you do a multiverse is in danger. Or another thing like an Arrowverse video game, like
Oh, I would play the hell out of that.
that would be dope. I would even take a long Arrowverse comic, anything to continue this stuff. Like those would be my three things. But James Gunn, man, you got a gold mine of characters there. Grant Gustin said like he's open to playing a superhero again. He's open to
Mm-hmm.
doing anything Flash stuff because I mean these people admit it. Like I haven't even mentioned him too because I mean Christian Bale when he did the interview for Variety, he's just like, look, no matter what I do the rest of my life, and this is like an Academy Award winning actor. The first role everyone is going to think about for me is Batman because of what we were able to do. And
Mm-hmm.
Grant said the same thing just yesterday. He's like, no matter what I do the rest of my life, this is going to be the role I'm associated with for the rest of my life. Like you
Yeah.
do something for 10 years, Oliver, like that. Stephen Amell could do anything else. You're gonna be like, hey, that's the Green Arrow. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so if these people are willing to play the stuff, I would include them. Um,
I agree. Bring him
uh,
back, James Gunn.
Next little thing, we had like an Arrowverse pick game. I saw this dope thing where it's like, the pick your own Arrowverse team and you got to stay under $30. I'll post it. It's fantastic. It's like your team leader, team support, tech fighter, all that stuff. So Byron, what team would you pick out of these things?
All right, so I got my total to $29, and I think I got a pretty nice squad.
29. Okay.
Yep. So my team leader, White Canary,
Mm, that's a good
she was at
$4.
$4.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I got my tech support, Luke Fox, because he was $3.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go a little bit low on my tech fighter, just to get who I really wanted.
I
So my
understand.
tech fighter, I have the Guardian for $1.
Mm-hmm.
My martial artist, I have Speedy for $4.
Mm.
And then my super meta slash alien Superman for $6. And then I have my other meta human slash alien Killer Frost for $5. And then my meta martial artist Painkiller for $6.
Two $6 ones.
Mm-hmm.
This was really tough for me, man, because I didn't. I was like, man, do I just want to try and take as many $6 as possible, and then take like a $1
I thought about that.
$1 one, and then I was just thinking about. I was like, man, the series finale just ended. Do I want to go with Flash? But he's $5. Green Arrow is $6 because if money wasn't, I mean, Green Arrow would be my pick. Like, but
Yeah.
he's $6. I'm trying to be economical.
Mm-hmm.
So my team leader was Black Lightning for
Okay. Okay.
$3. And then I went Felicity for 5. I mean,
Okay.
she's the OG tech person of this stuff.
She is.
Tech fighter number 3, he's really not gonna be fighting, but his powers are just other freaking worldly. I got TC.
Yep, I was gonna put him too.
His tech, he could get into any tech.
Mm-hmm.
So you have him. That puts me at 11. My martial artist, man, this was so tough because Spartan is that dog. He
Mm-hmm.
he really, really is. But I also I also went, even though I really want to go Katana, but I'm going Speedy too. Reason being, the last time I saw her, she beat Talia Al Ghul, and she's basically a co-leader of the league, which is another thing
Yes.
that pissed me off. That after the fact, it's like we don't get to see what her league looks like.
Yeah.
So that put
Yeah.
me at 15. So this was hard too. My next super meta alien, I was at two ends of the spectrum. The
Okay.
dollar for Kid Flash for $1 is a freaking steal.
Yes.
But then I'm like, Superman's a 6. I was like, hey man, I need a Kryptonian. I'm gonna just keep it a buck. So I picked
Mm-hmm.
Superman for that fact. That put me at 21. Meta Alien. I had Dreamer. I had Dreamer for 3. But
Okay.
Dreamer started to really improve. Now, I know this was probably made with like the main people. They put me at 24, so I could afford another 6. But if Cecile was in here, I might have swooped Cecile.
Yeah, she has become powerful.
And then another meta martial artist. I don't think anyone has more experience than Black Canary, Earth 2, Laurel.
Mm-hmm.
But and then like Painkiller. I really wouldn't have to worry about Painkiller getting out of line because I have Superman just like you did.
Mm-hmm.
But this is tough. I do like Thunder, but
Yeah, done there would be a good pick too.
Lightning's stronger than him. But I don't have any. Oh, I have Felicity. I was trying to make it that I had everyone from Our Man, bro. Yeah, it's rough out there for you. But I'm gonna go Thunder.
Okay.
I could take any of the Canaries just based off that team, and that put me at like 29. So
Smooth.
like,
Originally I was going to pick Green Arrow as my team leader.
mhm.
My tech support would have still been Luke. I forget who I was gonna put as my tech guardian. I gotta look at that picture again. Me and tech fighter. I was gonna put TC, and then definitely I was gonna keep Speedy, and then I want the reason why I changed to White Canary is so I could afford Superman because
Mhm.
I needed a heavy hitter just in case we come up with some otherworldly
I
threat.
understand.
I needed a superhuman. Yeah, with superhuman strength. So, and I wasn't gonna pick Our Man. No offense to him. Then that will allow me to get Killer Frost and Painkiller.
Yeah, those things are so much fun when you're doing those because you have to do the point thing and you're like, do I want to do this or I want to spend my points here if I take some sixes and I gotta take some ones. Like if I really wanted to, like, let me look at that thing again. Like if I took Oliver and Superman, that's 12 points.
Mm-hmm.
Oliver, Superman, so that's 12. TC 15, that's already half. So I can't take Felicity. So then I would go, well, I already took Superman, so I can't take Kid Flash. So then it's like, you're already messing with some points. You got to go down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Dreamer, a hot girl, but the hot people only got the Legends of Tomorrow thing, then they were out.
Yeah.
Man. Well, Byron, man, we've reached the end of this Arrowverse tribute. Who knows? We're probably going to be bringing it right back up in a couple of weeks when we talk Flash to see who's in it, who's not, what's supposed like what's going down.
Yep.
But man, what are some of your? Oh, there was another thing I wanted to say about the Arrowverse real quick too that gets pushed to the side a little bit. How the women of the Arrowverse started that philanthropic, the Shiordi, like that
Yep.
philanthropic
Yep.
thing
Yep.
that they started. Like that is a very dope thing that those women took initiative and started. And I just had to shout out that because that was born out of the Arrowverse. Let me see if I can. Oh no, I should be able to find. Well, Byron, what are some thoughts while I'm looking at the stuff of what like your final thoughts about the Arrowverse and all that?
Final thoughts. I am sad that it's ending. Like I know there's still like Superman and Lois, and they're having a great season three. By the way, and I'm going to be super sad when that ends. But I'm just sad, man. Like I've been on this journey for 11 years, and to see all the amazingness just come to an end. It's truly been an incredible journey. All the actors, actresses have done amazing. Writers, producers, VFX artists, all kudos to everyone that's worked on an Arrowverse show. You have made comic book nerds across the world happy. Thank you for doing that, for giving us the Arrowverse.
Yeah, man, I can't say anything else. Like it's been amazing that this thing has. It's weird that it's over, but it's like the fact that we made it to 10 years
Hmm.
is crazy. Like making over a decade with TV and seeing all of the people posting their pictures and their fan art, which has been fantastically amazing. And shoot, I mean, you want to talk about helping the MCU 10 years ago for people who've seen those posters and all that. A young artist, he's got his start making Arrowverse stuff, and that's how he got noticed. And people know him now as Boss Logic, who is a top tier person who Marvel and all these people hire for posters. Like he started with the Arrow and Flash. Like
Hmm.
it's weird to think when you say like 10 years, it just flew by. But as we grew up watching them, they grew up playing the roles. A lot of these people got married, had kids. Like
Hmm.
all the Trinity members all had kids during these 10 years.
Yep.
Oliver's daughter, then Barry. I mean, then Grant had just had a kid a couple years ago. Melissa had a kid.
Yep. A year or two ago.
So it's crazy seeing all those people come and go, and it's just wild, man, that they lasted 10 years on TV. And I just shout out to Stephen Amell because, like it said at the Crisis thing when he was being hosted by Kevin Smith, he is our Robert Downey Jr. He started this all, and he
Yep.
went out the same way. Literally, Robert Downey Jr. did. Again, it's crazy how Marvel and DC both had the same idea for different platforms, starting with like a lesser known hero, and there you go. But it's sad, man. I'm not gonna stop talking about the Arrowverse. I'm gonna keep watching stuff on YouTube when when Arrow season 8 is available on digital, not even Netflix, on digital, I already own Arrow, but when Flash season 9, I'm sorry, is available, I'm gonna start buying up all those seasons because sooner or later Netflix is gonna take them off. So I gotta start having them off for my own personal collection.
That is true. That is actually a good idea. Thank you for that.
So then it's like, hey, I want to watch Christ on Earth X. Let me get the episodes lined up, ready to go. I want to watch, and then you go watch them from start to finish, no interruptions. Oh yeah, because that's my biggest thing, man. I'm not saying doing this because YouTube would take it down. Just saying, but if someone was able to take out, just put all 5 episodes of Crisis of Earth X into one thing, no breaks. That's my next thing. Anyone putting all the crossovers into one video, that's dope.
I mean, if CW was smart, they would do that and make some money, but
That's true.
it's the CW we're talking about.
That's true, man. But salute to the Arrowverse, all the actors, man. I don't see anyone playing a better Oliver Queen, Barry Allen. Like, these castings were top notch. They took chances on people, and here we are, man.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna stop talking about Arrowverse. We're gonna have some stuff in the future. Start thinking about some questions. And that thing it was Katie Lloyd who was the prime, was the CEO founder of She Authority, a women's empowerment organization. That was with the other Arrowverse ladies, which is one of the dopest things. So let me see who was all listed on this. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It was started by Candace Patton and Katie Loitz. You had Vixen and Zari join, Black Canary and Over Felicity, Supergirl and Alex, like Killer Frost. And they have a whole YouTube thing. Don't know the last time they posted anything about it, but the fact that this was started, dope stuff. Man, shout out to the Arrowverse. Congratulations on making it 10 years. They do have a She Authority if people are interested. They do have a YouTube. It looks like they haven't posted in a bit, but they got some dope stuff. You need to go listen to it. But Arrowverse, man, congrats. We're going to be back a couple of weeks for Flash. And we start this train all over again. We'll see. We'll see.
We won't see.
That being said, this is the L7C podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, rate, comment, subscribe. And remember, the L7C podcast will never fail this city. That being said, take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.